The Championship relegation battle is heating up as we head into game week 45. All the teams down in the relegation zone picked up positive results, with 4 of the 6 teams down there picking up victories, 2 of them picking up draws against one another. Now we look at the league table and you can see that Pompey and above have now secured their survival in the Championship stable. And if you look at the top end of the division, Leeds United and Burnley have also secured their promotion to the Premier League. But we're going to be taking a major look in the bottom end of this division, the likes of Preston North End, the likes of Stoke City, but not ignoring Plymouth Argyle, Luton Town and Derby County. Now, obviously, when you look at the bottom end of the division, there is just 7 points swapping Stoke City and Plymouth Argyle. Now, obviously, that does mean that Stoke City cannot finish at the bottom of the table, but it does not mean that they cannot get relegated. That if they face up against Sheffield United, they also then have to face Derby County on the final day. 2 defeats for them could see them in the relegation zone. Preston North End face up against Plymouth Argyle. A victory for them all but secures Plymouth Argyle back into League One. But a defeat for Preston North End would see Plymouth Argyle edge themselves 1 step closer to potential Championship survival. Now Cardiff City face up against West Brom. A West Brom side who have just been defeated 3-1 by Derby County, and a West Brom side which has also changed their manager over the course of the last 24 hours. Now Luton Town, they face up against Coventry City in what is a magnificent battle. Coventry City, no, a defeat could see them fall out of the playoff positions. Luton Town, no, a win could see them get out of the relegation zone, given the result between Derby County and Hull City. It's going to be interesting down at the bottom. Obviously, Derby County face up against Hull in a massive clash at the MKM Stadium. Which team is going to come out on top of that one? Oxford United face up against Sunderland. Now, Sunderland are pretty much on the beach. They're confirmed in the playoffs. They will face Bristol City as it stands right now, and they've lost 3 on the bounce heading into the playoffs. They won't want to go into the final 2 games without a victory, so let's see what happens in that one. Now, obviously, we look at the recent form of those sides down at the bottom end of the division. Stoke City have lost 1, won 2 and drawn 2 heading into this final 2 games, obviously facing up against Sheffield United and Derby County. You then look at a team like Preston North End. 3 straight defeats, 2 draws. They face up against Plymouth Argyle at the bottom of the division. Now, Preston North End aren't safe. They're on 49 points. A draw against Plymouth probably secures their safety, maybe, depending on results below them. But ultimately, they're in a difficult position. Now, Preston North End, they obviously face up against Plymouth Argyle and then Bristol City on the final day. There is a world right now where Preston North End end up in that relegation zone after the final day of fixtures. Oxford United, 2 wins, 2 defeats and 1 draw as they face up against Sunderland at their home ground. They end the season up against survived Swansea. Swansea obviously sitting in 11th place after 5 straight victories. We then go on to talk about Hull City. Obviously, massive game between them and Derby County. 2 wins, 2 defeats and 1 draw for Hull City heading into this one against Derby. Obviously sitting currently 2 points safe from relegation, but a victory for Luton, a victory for Derby this weekend sees them fall into the relegation zone. Obviously, we look at Derby County, a massive victory for them up against West Bromwich Albion at the weekend, 3-1, but 2 defeats and 2 draws as well in their previous 5 games means they're heading into this one not quite in the running. But can they survive in this division? There is a massive opportunity, and John Eustace is confident in the Derby County squad. Now Luton Town head into this one 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 defeat as they come up against Coventry City. They then face West Brom on the final day. Now West Brom have nothing to play for apart from pride and their position in the squad for next season. Coventry City obviously still battling for that playoff position. We could do with Coventry City beating Luton Town as Derby County fans, as that would potentially secure Derby County's survival in the division. Now, the most interesting one, the massive one, it's Cardiff City and West Brom. They face up against each other on Saturday. Cardiff head in 3 draws, 2 defeats, and on the final day they face up against Norwich. They essentially face 2 teams with absolutely nothing to play for. And with Aaron Ramsey at the helm and a much better performance versus Oxford United, is there a possibility that they could secure 6 points in the next 2 games? Of course there is that possibility, but will they do it? That is the big question on the lips of many fans. Plymouth Argyle have the best form of anybody in this relegation battle. 3 wins and 2 defeats. 43 points. They're 3 points away from safety as they head into a massive, massive tie up against Preston North End. On the final day, they face up against already promoted Leeds, but Leeds are obviously battling it out for the title with Burnley, and Burnley they obviously face up against QPR and Millwall on the final day. This season, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be interesting. But who is going to come out on top? Now, many of you will have probably seen my predictions video at the start of the season. Many of you will have seen my predictions video a few weeks ago. And I'll be completely honest, I was wrong with a few of the things that I predicted. I will not lie. I was way off base with some of them. And it's obviously, as we look at sort of the bottom end of the division now, I said that it would be Plymouth, Luton and Cardiff to go down, Stoke in 21st, Oxford in 20th, Swansea in 19th, Derby in 18th, Pompey in 17th, QPR in 16th, Hull City 15th, Preston and in 14th. Now, obviously Hull City, realistically, I might not be wrong. I may not end up being wrong. So that is the interesting part about this. I may not end up being wrong. There is still possibility that Derby County, Hull City, Oxford and Preston all finish ahead of Stoke. So realistically, I'm not miles off. I am not miles off. Now, the big question will be is obviously we look at the form over the course of the last 5 games, and it's obviously the best team at the moment in that relegation battle is Plymouth Argyle. And then you've got Luton Town, and then it's Stoke, then it's Hull, then it's Derby County. Obviously, Oxford are in there as well. And then, obviously, you look at Cardiff, they're right down at the bottom. You look at Preston North End, they're right down at the bottom as well. So, realistically, as it stands today, if you look at these last 5 games and make a prediction based off that, you'd probably say that Plymouth Argyle just edge out of it. You'd probably say Luton Town just edge out of it. And you'd probably say Hull City survive, which would then leave Derby County, Cardiff and Preston North End as the 3 teams to get relegated. Now, for me, I think that victory for Derby County against West Brom is going to be one of the biggest victories of the season. With everything that went on over the course of this game week, obviously Derby County were 2-0 up after half an hour, but you look at someone like Plymouth, they took the lead, they then scored a second goal, then it was Coventry City were making a comeback, then you've got Luton Town scored, then Bristol City scored to equalise, then Luton Town scored 2 in quick succession, Hull City scored, then they conceded, Preston North End right back into the game, then another goal for Hull City secured them. Oxford United went 1-0 down to Cardiff, scored an absolute thunderbastard through Cameron Brannigan, and then it was that was it for the game. Obviously, Stoke City got absolutely pummeled by Leeds United. Now, realistically, I think Stoke are safe. I think Preston need a point. I do think, realistically, 4 points keeps you up for Derby, Luton. I think 4 points keeps them up. I think for Hull, I think a victory keeps them up. I think if you look at Cardiff, they need to win both games. It's going to be interesting to see how it does transpire over the course of the next few weeks. You obviously look at some of the fixtures coming up. It's a crazy, crazy final 2 days. It is of football. It really is. And it's crazy to think that in 12 days, this championship campaign is over and we'll know where everyone's going to be. And you look at a team like Derby County, you look at a team like Luton Town, 2 teams who, Derby County, many people have said in my comments over the course of this season, they're too big to go down. And ultimately, if we do go down, it hangs on the decision to keep Paul Warne for the entirety of January. Luton Town, they were in the Premier League last season. Like they were so close to surviving in the Premier League last season, and it isn't that much of a different squad. Yes, they lost some players, don't get me wrong, but ultimately the team isn't that much different. I'm not surprised Cardiff City where they are. I'm not surprised Plymouth are where they are. I actually think Plymouth would be in a much better position if they got rid of Rooney sooner. But ultimately, I did think that Rooney was going to do enough to keep them up. I'm really surprised by Watford. I'm surprised by Blackburn Rovers this season as well. It's been a crazy, crazy championship season. There's been highs, there's been lows. Derby County went, 8 games without win? That's 8 defeats in a row as well. And Derby County won 12 points in their opening 9 games and then picked up 15 in the following 21, which is the reason why they're in this position now. And I said a few weeks ago, well, it was about a couple of months ago now, that Derby County put themselves to relegation, really. We were sat rock bottom of the table, 7 points from safety. We needed playoff form to stay in the division. And what was we on? I think it was on 27 points with, 10 games left to go. We're now on 46 with 2 games to go. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this goes on, because realistically, we're in a really, really crazy position right now where pretty much every team at the bottom of the Championship could stay in the league. And that is crazy to think about. Now, if we do the date range, since John Eustace was appointed at Derby County, which I can't actually remember what date it was. When was John Eustace appointed at Derby County? John Eustace appointment for Derby County. He was announced on the 13th of February. So if we go to February 13th, 2025, and let's just see how these teams have been getting on since then. Let's click go. There's been 12 games played, right? And if we look at those teams in the relegation zone, the first one you come across, well, in the relegation battle really, is Portsmouth. 19 points in 12 games. Tremendous form from them. Not quite playoff form, but brilliant, brilliant form. A couple down, you've then got Hull City, 19 points in 13 games. So some of these teams have played a game extra across the course of this spell. You've got Luton Town, 19 points in 13 as well. Stoke City, 18 points in 13. Derby County, 17 points in 12. Plymouth, 15 points in 13 games. You then go further down the division and you find Cardiff City with just 12 points in 13 games. Oxford have picked up 11 in 12. You've then got Preston North End at the bottom. I'll put this up on screen for you to look at. 9 points in 13 games. Now, who is going to stay in the division is anyone's guess right now. As we head towards the final few games of the season, it is very interesting to see that Derby County are 13th in the division since John Eustace took over, with a game in hand, which obviously, if we were to play the game extra, that could then boost us all the way up to 7th place. So it's very, very interesting to look at it right now. In fact, I'm going to change the date to the 15th just to see if that changes anything. No, it didn't change anything. So it's going to be very interesting to see what goes on at the end of this season. I still think that the 3 that are going to go down are Plymouth, Cardiff and Luton. I don't think it's going to be without fight, but I think it's going to be those 3 that go down. I do think there is a massive opportunity for obviously Luton Town to stay in the division, but they've got to beat Coventry and they've got to beat West Brom, and that isn't going to be easy. Coventry City fighting for the playoffs, and realistically victory could take the decision out of Luton Town's hands of whether they stay up or go down, obviously with that minus 23 goal difference. So you can obviously let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, you turn on that notification bell, and you stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County and EFL content heading your way. Obviously, it's going to be a massive, massive summer. A whole ton of transfers are going to happen, whether it be League One or whether it be the Championship. So you let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit the like button as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.